What up everyone, it's your boy X-Man87 here bringing you another Marvel Legends video, and what I have for you today is the Marvel Legends X-Men Age of Apocalypse Wave 2 Colossus Build-A-Figure Series Sabertooth action figure review. Before I get into everything, if you could please leave a thumbs up like rating on the video, it'll help show your support for my channel and I greatly appreciate it. Now with that said, let's go! Now taking a close look at Sabertooth, and this is probably the friendliest Sabertooth you're ever gonna see. He definitely looks like he could go some rounds drinking beers with you instead of clawing some bacon off your back. This smirk is definitely selling this face sculpt right here. I do love the little snaggletooth sculpted right there. That looks really good. And this is the default head out of the box. So that's why we're taking a look at this one first. Yeah, look at those bushy eyebrows. That came out really cool. The eyes came out great. And you can see here that there's some printing for the 5 o'clock shadow. So it's very light, very subtle. Could have been a shade darker. I think that would have looked a little bit better. But you know, it's there. Still looks good in my opinion. But look at those chops, man. Those are some hardcore chops. That looks very good. I do like the bangs on the front of his hair. So that looks really cool. The hair sculpt is so good. I do like this. There's a side profile right here, and you get the ponytail too. And the ponytail is a separate piece, by the way, so taking a look at that sculpt. I just love this hair sculpt all around. Look at the top of that. Nice waves. So good. Now for the body, they went with the Warlock Wave Colossus, which is a good choice. I do not have anything against this body choice for AOA Sabertooth. I mean, it's big, it's bulky, makes him look very tall. He is very tall. I mean, he definitely feels like he's the second Build-A-Figure in this wave, pretty much. And there goes that AOA style of fashion with the collar and the ball-jointed studs. Wow, did I just say ball-jointed studs? I meant studded balls, wow. But damn, the texturing looks so good. Look at that texturing. Yeah, it looks all clawed up and chewed up from Wild Child just hanging on his back for so long, right? But yeah, you get some nice metallic silver paint throughout. It's removable. You could just detach it right here. See, it's got a peg hole. And this guy's arms are jacked, so we're looking at new arms right here. And you got the sculpted hairs, and they're painted on too, so that looks good. Looks real. Damn, this figure's on steroids. For real, he is jacked. Then you got the belt right there, nice texture. And you got the brown glove right here. So again, you get a lot of that nice texture. And just looking at the hand here, you can see more of that texture. You know, there is some line work too. And then on the other hand, you got the armored plating on top of this hand. And it looks very good. I like the battle damage marks right there. And the metallic silver paint really makes that pop out. That looks so cool, man. And you get these like studs right there, you know, the glove, line work, texture looks really nice. My only gripe with this figure is really that they didn't paint the forearm brace right here, but they painted the metallic silver, and it just cuts off the flow. Like, come on, Hasbro, if you painted this, you gotta paint this too. You can see on this forearm brace, you get some battle damage marks. So again, look at some scratches, some dents. It's kind of hard to tell with this plastic marbling here, so it kind of just throws that off and kind of hides it. That's why the silver metallic paint would have been very beneficial, because it would have made those battle damage marks pop out. And you get some studs right around it. I mean, it looks good. It's not painted, that's all. And I really like the colors to this. It matches the AOA Sabertooth. You got the brown, you got the tan suit onesie. Not much shading going on, but you know what? It's the body that sells this figure. And taking a look at the legs. Look at those gams, man. He's got tree trunks for legs. Then taking a look at the boots. Nice texture. I'm really loving this texture all around. This is really, really nice. You can see the threads underneath the boots right there, how they look good on the side. Then looking at the front of the boots, you got the seam in the middle, and it just looks good all around. Really like that. Serial number painted underneath the foot again. Yes! Now, taking a look at the accessories, this is the winner right here with this face sculpt. This is absolutely amazing, and this is the Sabertooth we're used to seeing. You know, that killer face that looks so ferocious. The other face sculpt, you know, he's smiling, and it's just weird to see him smile, but in the AOA comics, he was a hero. He was part of the Astonishing X-Men team. So yeah, he had some smirks here and there, but this face sculpt, my god, is the winner. Oh man, this looks so good. Again, you get that very light 5 o'clock shadow. I think the shading's a little bit better on this one. Again, it could have been a shade darker. It's freaking awesome. I love the grin. Look at the teeth sculpted there. Oh, he looks so mean. Like the pupils, I don't know why they're silver. It should be white. You know, got some black eyeliner around it. And the eyebrows, again, look great. The hair sculpt is the same. So you get those same ferocious mutton chops and, you know, the bangs. And even the ponytails. So you get 2 ponytails. They're both the same sculpt. They're not different. It would have been nice if both ponytails, you know, if they were different. Anyways, the ponytails don't take away from the face sculpt, and this is how I will definitely have my Sabertooth displayed with this head sculpt. Then lastly, you already saw me talk about the fist hands. So he comes with another set of hands, and these are the gripping hands, which are the most important hands, since this is what he'll use to hold Wild Child's chain. So here's Wild Child's chain, and there's many ways you could utilize it. You know, you can have him wield it two-handed or one-handed. I prefer two-handed because I just love the more dynamic looks I could get out of the poses with the two. However, if you just want something simple, go with the one-handed. So you can see how this chain starts off with being very loopy. So what you want to do is just take this hand off and then just put this hand and put it through the remaining loops. Plug that in. Then you see the part where the loop ends right here, and it has like that hook shape. I would just snug that in. This is how you want it to look right there. So, and then you can just take the end here that goes into Wild Child and plug that on the back. So this is the most user-friendly setup you can do on your shelf if you don't want Wild Child being mounted on him. As much as I would have preferred a real steel chain link, I mean, I can't go wrong with how dynamic this looks, right? It looks posable, and you wouldn't get that with a real steel chain link. Now, to mount Wild Child on top of Sabertooth, there are many ways to do it, but I want to show you the simplest way possible. Now, you're still going to have your posing skills on point, but hopefully with my demonstration, it'll make it a little bit easier. So for this demonstration, I'm going to have Sabertooth wielding the chain with both hands. So the first loop, we'll have him hold it, put it on this hand. Make sure this chain loop is aligned with the thumb. And then I like to take where this loop ends on this side of the chain. And remember where I showed you before how it kind of has that hook shape. Curl it around his wrist. And that way you have this chain already meeting at the tip of the fingers on this hand. Snug that in, and it should look like this. Oh, and then where this hook shape end of the loop is, kind of keep it tucked in there, and then you want to take this chain, tuck it in. So do that. So this is good. You want enough chain length because we're gonna have to hook Wild Child on top of him. So let me just get the legs posed up. Alright, so let me bend this in, and we'll take the foot right there, and we're gonna have that, line this, stick this leg out, work that ankle pivot, do the ab crunch, because that's gonna help with mounting Wild Child, and move the neck up. So let's just work these hands a bit, curl them in nicely, and then you should have your Sabertooth planned in nicely. And we'll just leave them there. And now with Wild Child, I like to get him into a Spider-Man leaping pose, right? So we'll just start off like that, get him into a leaping pose, bend those knees in, keep the heels together, then bend that ab crunch all the way down. And then I'm gonna move his butterfly joints back. I'm gonna turn his head to the side and then move it up. And we want to make sure that we have space for the chain to plug into the back of this collar. And then with this arm, we're just going to bend the elbows in. Then try to tuck it in underneath that ponytail. The ponytail might pop off, but as you can see, I'm making sure that my thumb is attached to the ponytail and holding on to it to make sure it doesn't fall out of place. All right, now I want to carefully move Sabertooth's head back into position. Now to keep Wildchild mounted and secured on top of Sabertooth, the big key here is going to be his feet. Now you want to finagle his big toe and tuck it into his belt. The belt is going to slide up to the gap right there. And then the other foot you don't have to worry about. It could just, you know, cling onto it like that. And now you just take this chain and hook it onto the back of the collar. He's already secured, so you don't have to worry about Wildchild falling. And oh yeah, look at that, man. This is what we all wanted to see. You know, when they first revealed Wildchild, we were all just like in excitement, just waiting for Sabertooth. Like, where is Sabertooth? Where is Sabertooth? And yeah, he's finally here, and we could finally do that setup because Toy Biz didn't ever give us a Wildchild. They were supposed to, but it never made its way into the line, and we just had an AOA Sabertooth with no Wildchild. But now we finally do, and look at this. This is freaking awesome. The fun factor is just too damn high, alright? I could not stop gushing over this figure. I had way too much fun with these two together. It was just... it's everything I wanted in an AOA Sabertooth. But yeah, you're going to have to play around with this a lot to get various poses of Wildchild mounting on Sabertooth. It's not impossible. But man, when you do, it becomes the most fun figure out of this wave. So I really hope that this posing demonstration was helpful and informative. Alright everyone, I need you to be honest with me. How many of you here feel that Wildchild might be a little too tall on this Pizza Spidey buck? While this buck on Sabertooth is like super big and he still looks imposing, do you think that this Wildchild might make this Sabertooth look a little bit small? To be honest with you, I don't think so. I mean, you think they could have used a teen buck for Wildchild? You think it would have been better for him to be this kind of height? Like, yeah, I could see how this body would have worked, you know? Because it does make Sabertooth look bigger. So, yeah, I'm just throwing it out there. So here's a quick comparison between the two so you can see how they stack up next to the Sabertooth. I think this Wildchild by himself looks good height-wise, but I don't know, maybe together he would have looked better on this body. So who knows, maybe a possibility of a re-release, AOA 2-pack of Sabertooth and Wildchild is on this teenage buck instead. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, just some food for thought. Now to cover articulation with Sabertooth, his head moves up that far, and it moves that far down, left, right, and he does have some good pivoting, and his ponytail rotates. His arms move up that far, so you get a T-pose, and it moves down all around. You got the shoulder swivel, bicep swivel, single jointed elbows, you got the wrist swivel and the wrist hinge. Ab crunch moves that far forward, that far back, you got a waist swivel, legs move that far apart. His legs move that far up and that far back. So that's pretty good. And his legs rock around. You got the thigh swivel, double jointed knees, no heel to the AOA Sabertooth butt. There is no boot swivel, but his ankles move up that far, down, and the all around ankle rockers. Now for some comparisons, here is AOA Sabertooth next to the Jim Lee Sabertooth. Now to bring out the Caliban Baf and Omega Red with these, which is the buck most likely to be reused for an updated 90s Jim Lee Sabertooth. The reason why I'm bringing these out for you to see is, well, one, we need to get rid of that stupid Hyperion mold. More importantly, who would be the strongest candidate? Omega Red will have the best all-around range for articulation, while still maintaining a good combination of height and width. This AOA body will look taller, but will need new arms with double-jointed elbows, but still looks good and is a lot more massive than the Hyperion mold. Caliban is interesting because I've seen someone do a custom of a Jim Lee Sabertooth on this body, and I was in awe. I was just like, whoa, as it had me fooled thinking it was the Marvel Select Sabertooth. Hoping to see an updated Jim Lee Sabertooth soon on a retro card. Here he is next to AOA Wolverine, Weapon X. Here he is next to the Colossus Baf and AOA Apocalypse. Here he is next to the only other two legends that share the same body mold. We have the Warlock Wave Colossus and Death's Head 2. This body is very underused and needs more love. You think we might get the Wrecking Crew updated on these? I can see it. You've already seen this earlier, but here he is one more time next to Wildchild. Aww, look at Sabertooth and Wildchild in their matching onesies. And here they are to complete the AOA Astonishing X-Men, and this will be one of the most beautiful looking teams to be displayed on my X-Men shelves once I set them up. Lastly, here he is next to some of his fellow wave mates, Magneto and Shadowcat. Shadowcat review is on deck. Alright, and now to wrap things up, my final rating is a 10 out of 10. Total awesomeness. Only a figure on steroids can put up big numbers like this for a perfect score. Seriously, Hasbro keeps swinging for the fences because it's almost non-stop home runs in this wave, and this is another big home run. But having this paired with Wildchild then becomes a grand slam. The AOA Sabertooth that I've been waiting for is here in my hands and is much bigger and better than the Toy Biz Legends one. I didn't think we would get an AOA Sabertooth on this body, as I remembered in my Toy Fair interview with Hasbro, Dwight mentioned the Omega Red body being the candidate for an AOA Sabertooth. I'm not mad though, as I love it. I'm just curious to know. However, the body sells this figure on its own, and just like how Wildchild made some collectors start backtracking and buying the Toy Biz AOA Sabertooth, this figure will also make some collectors backtrack to get Wildchild. Funny how that works. So now these two sell each other, and the replayability is off the charts. With two astonishing head sculpts, alternate hands to grab Wildchild by the chain while pairing and posing them together in different ways makes the fun factor seem endless. He's complete with Wildchild and vice versa. I know I've been saying best legends a lot in these reviews, but that's just how I honestly feel with these damn good offerings. With Magneto, Iceman, and now this Sabertooth, these are the best versions of these characters that we got in Legends form, and it goes to show you how hot and spicy this wave really is. Another figure that has thrown their name in the hat for my top 10 Legends of 2021. Now I kick it back to you. What do you think of AOA Sabertooth? Did you snag Wildchild yet? Make sure you do so if you plan on picking this guy up. Which version of Sabertooth would you like to see next? Comment below, let me know, we'll chat about it. That was my review. Please follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. Link is in the description below. Get your Marvel Legends Age of Apocalypse Wave 2 Colossus Build-A-Figure series at Big Bad Toy Store. Link is in the description below. Hit the notification bell so you always know when my latest videos are up. Share and subscribe if you're new. Enjoy the pics at the end of the video. See you on the next review. Peace, peace.